So here we go, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Kings of Anglia Fan Social, the show where the KOA Army share their thoughts on all things town. And I hope you've all had a good week. Of course, the podcast is proudly sponsored by Ginger Pickle and Manscaped. This week, I'm joined by good old Bono and the returning Dan. Bloke. What a bloke he is. Not going to muck about. Let's get right into it. Discuss all things town today. Bono, always a pleasure. Vu from you two, AK Matt, all the other names. How's things?
Hey, yeah, really good. I'm very excited that Dan's joining us because he's an absolute legend. I'm good. Worked last night, so I've got the strongest of black coffees. Wear my black coffee worship T-shirt. Other coffee suppliers are available, and it's on my terrace, Simon Milton mug. Look at that! Look. Can you name the year that the shirt's from?
95.
It's a bit before that, but yeah.
The season we won promotion? No, that would have been the orange kit, wasn't it? The season before, 91 season.
Something like that. I've just got up, so my brain's a bit fried, so I'm going to let Dan do all the talking now.
It's fine. Let's bring Dan in. Let's bring Dan in. Look, now, fun fact here. I think the last time I spoke to you and probably saw you, Dan, was in a hotel in Portsmouth, randomly. I wasn't actually staying in that hotel. But I was just there because someone else was in that hotel and I was just chilling with him and then you were there. So, but how's things?
I'm good, mate. Thank you so much for having me back. I feel like a thorn between two Ipswich roses as I look at my screen. But it's brilliant to be here. Yeah, it was funny, that Portsmouth game. I texted you, and the moment I sent the text on, you appeared around the corner, which is a bit weird. But all good. Love listening to your content and great to catch up. Looking forward to it.
Definitely. Well, let's not muck about then, boys. Let's just get right into it. We are going to start the podcast with some sad news. A legendary commentator, broadcaster, John Motson, sadly passed away at the age of 77. Legendary commentator, Bono. Thoughts on him? He's got a connection with town. I think he wrote a column in the programme in the 70s. Has been at games, commentated town games in the past. Got a connection with Sir Boy Robson. Went to school in Suffolk as well. Yeah, your memories of him?
The generation that I'm from, Motty, he was the commentator. And, just so many memories of just his awesome commentary, saying it how it is. Like you said, connections to the club, the sheepskin coat back in the day. What legends. The word legend is banded around. People that score a dozen goals in one season get called a legend and stuff like that. But that man really did typify football commentary in the 70s, 80s, 90s before he kind of started to take a bit of a back seat, let the next generation in. But yeah, obviously thoughts with his family and friends and everybody. And we've lost a bit of a diamond, haven't we? I think.
We have indeed. Dan, I think I've just got it up now. He's been working on Match of the Day since 1971. So for a lot of people, he's been the voice of football commentary. And of course, it's everywhere now, football. But back in the day, the first, 70s, 80s, there's only a few games on the telly. But yeah, his voice he's known to everybody.
Yeah, he was just iconic growing up, associated with football when there were only like 4 TV channels and most games are live on BBC One, or he was just broadcasting to millions. I'm not sure if he did the 78 or 81 finals. I don't think that was Barry Davis. You always had Barry Davis and John Motson. But yeah, and it was interesting when you said he bought shares in the club.
Yeah, he did, yeah. When we were going into administration before Marcus Evans, I think he put some shares in. So once again, that shows how much sometimes, a connection to one football club, maybe he enjoyed his time going to Portman Road commentating. He just went, I need to help them out. So, yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, in our thoughts and, proper football icon.
Definitely. And sadly, it happens all the time these days. A few, legendary people of the past, are passing away. We had Pele before New Year's. But yeah, thoughts, of course, to his family, and we'll remember him forever, I'm sure. Let's talk then about Town and the Youth Cup team. Last night, quarterfinals of the Youth Cup at Portman Road, taking on West Ham, the Hammers, and the game had to go to extra time, but a 4-2 defeat in the end for the Young Blues. Dan, I was there. You're watching from home. They had a man sent off, or a boy, young lad, Callum Logan, sent off very early in the game. But we took the lead, but then they equalised quickly. And then, yeah, they did well, didn't they, the boys? Get to the quarterfinals, beating Liverpool and beating Forest in the previous rounds, but they went the end against West Ham.
Yeah, I think if I could describe this morning's feeling in retrospect, it would be, pride in the club, because that achievement where we have Norwich above us geographically with the Cat 1 and West Ham below us geographically with the Cat 1, and we're playing on a different planet really with Cat 2, and just the way they approach that game. And the way the attitude and the approach was mind-blowing. I've never really seen a lot of that team. I mean, I know a few of the players play in it and stuff, and I'd heard some of the names, but I mean, you had Kieran McKenna there, who was sitting with David Pleat. You had Moyes there. You had a lot of first-team players there. Burgess, Wolfen, and Edmondson. All our centre-backs were there, and I just thought they did so well. I mean, we just took it to West Ham. We just took it to them. We should have scored a great goal. Harry Barbrook, lovely goal. We should have been 3 up. We genuinely should have been 3 up. Then the lad got sent off. Probably was a sending off, a bit harsh. But we just took it to them. You would never know we had 10 men. I mean, I'd forgotten we had 10 men. And then Nico Valentine scored a beautiful goal to put us 2-1 up, and literally, I think they equalised within seconds. And really, the only disparity of the two teams was in extra time, when naturally we were just knackered, and these lads won't have played. It should have been 120 minutes. I think with all the injury time, I think we played like 95 minutes with 10 men. But just so much pride in the club, that the approach we took, the football we were playing, and I watched it on the FA Player stream, which is a really good quality stream. And they had Gary Breen, the ex-centre back, on commentary. Very, very complimentary. And you've got to understand that West Ham are probably the best club at that level in the country. And the expectation before last night was Ipswich had done well, but this is a different class. And I tell you what, there's a few lads there that have done themselves no harm at all. I mean, I love the look of Jack Manley in midfield. He looked like a really good player. He went off injured. And then you've got the obvious ones. Nico Valentine's got this lovely quick feet. I was chatting to Matt last night. Rio, Wendy Morgan on the right, he looks a really good player. Not a lot of pace, but brilliant technique. And honestly, I mean, I'm doing a disservice not mentioning everyone, but absolutely, I'm just so proud of the team. And to hear that McKenna went in with the first team staff afterwards and knew all the boys by name, first name. I mean, how massive is that for them? And we'll go and talk to the about the academy in general, but I know everything is about the first team. I know that's a priority, but when you look at how we consistently do with a Cat 2 level, and when you look at the kind of pathway we seem to have now of promising players, so we've got players on loan at Isthmian Premier, we've got players on loan in Ireland, we've got then you move up, you've got a player that I've always liked is the right back, Edwin Abaji, who's at Yeovil, who's apparently doing brilliantly. And then you've got people like Elmis and Baggett and who are getting league minutes. So what there just seems to be is a really kind of joined up way of thinking at the club about progressing players through. I mean, if you're good enough, you'll get the chance. I mean, then you just got to look at Cameron Humphreys. That's what we want. That's the pipeline, isn't it? To get to players like to Humphreys. So I just thought they were just really well coached and just refreshing attitude. So could be more proud of the club as well. Club came off in a really good light, I thought. So good on them.
Definitely, yeah. I was the same, in that stadium. Just so proud. They're working together as well. Such a great team spirit. Stuart Watson interviewed both of the Barbaric twins. One didn't play in the game. I think he was injured, but I think it was actually Finley who scored the goal, not Harry.
Right.
It's all good. But yeah, it was just such a great team spirit, and to be 10 men down for so long and take West Ham to pretty much the end. And they just said fitness came in. But let's talk, Bono, about the academy as a whole, because of course we've had a history of players breaking through. Maybe the last few years it's not been as many because we've been in the situation we've been in League One, and trying to trust young players is always tricky when you're trying to win promotion and stuff. But Cameron Humphreys is one of those where he's been able to sort of break that ceiling, break that glass ceiling, and break through. Just your thoughts on the academy as a whole, and just proud of the boys.
Yeah, like last night. I mean, I was working last night. Ironically, I work kind of in the shadow of the London Stadium or the Olympic Park, and I'm in East London quite a lot. West Ham have got some lovely training facilities up in Romford as well, which kind of you look at that kind of thing and you just think that's the sort of thing that potentially we could aim for in the future. But yeah, academy. Let's. It's a weird thing. It was. I don't think anybody can really put their finger on it, but the last few years the academy's kind of gone into decline, hasn't it? The main reason is probably lots of short-termism in the first team, signing journeymen and loan people, which in the Evans era, it's kind of synonymous for that, which is easy for me to say. And reading lots of articles and stuff from yourselves and other footballing outlets, there's now some kind of synergy and some symmetry as well with the way that all of the age groups link up. I think McKenna's addressed it quite recently as well about how the model of the club and having like a bit of a DNA, like the writing and a stick of rock running through it, it should apply to all levels. I think Mark Ashton has also addressed it, because there's been a big clamour. Oh, we need Cat One. We need Cat One. And we're run by some really. I think we're run by some really intelligent footballing people that are able to see the bigger picture. So rather than throwing money at an academy and making it Cat One, they're looking at the reasons why we would need to do that, and what's wrong with Cat 2. And I think some stuff's come out about if we do Cat 1, it's not all that advantageous. But yeah, like Dan picked on, we've got the Cat 1 academies to the north and to the south. They're our closest geographical rivals, and yeah, we've punched above our weight for quite a few seasons, haven't we, in the FA Youth Cups? Yes, it would always be nice to see more people coming through, and I've always been a firm advocate that if you're good enough, you're old enough. But when you look at a lot of these lads, they are still lads. Physically, mentally, they're probably immature, which is not a bad thing. They will grow into men. I remember watching an under 21s game, or under 22s, or under 23s, whatever the category is, because it always seems to change, doesn't it? Last season against Hull, and you just they're just little lads, and you think, how long would they last in a League One game? You look at Cam Humphreys. Cam Humphreys is twice the size of the guys that played last night. On Saturday he's just a little lad, and and physically, there's only so far that skill and application will get you in football, sadly. And when you're playing against hairy ass defenders at Accrington Stanley (brackets who are they? I think there's the future's bright, the future's blue. It just helps with the all-round buzz of the club, doesn't it? And the whole, we've got our club back. The connection between the club, the fans, and the community is just, you just want more of it, don't you? Just like feed me this content. It's awesome. But no, well played. We're very proud, and exciting to see what the future holds. Definitely.
Dude. And Dan, I'll bring you in now to just get your thoughts on the academy as well. And one thing I like is that I feel like it's now, as Bono said, we've got a lot of great footballing just people who are now just in different roles in the academy, in the first team, just making sure everything is lining up. And one thing I also like is definitely after seeing the Barber twins doing that interview, I think we've got some really just good lads. I think they're also making sure they're good characters and they're actually getting good life skills, not just, here we go, get into the academy and stuff. Okay, back in the day, they used to have to clean boots and do a lot of chores, but they seem like just...
They seem like a really, really tight unit. And I know, funnily enough, when I first started going to Suffolk, I knew their grandfather. He ran Barbrooks, the village shop in Raiden. Lovely guy. And then I used to play cricket and football with Matty Barbrooks, their dad. They are the most sporting family you can imagine. They did everything in Raiden. And Finley and Harry are probably the best two cricketers I've ever seen at that level as well. They are seriously good sportsmen. But they were so into Ipswich. They were all Ipswich fans. They were all going to Ipswich when the boys were 5 and 6. They grown up with it. So there's an element of you've got to really cultivate your own patch. You've really got to kind of tap into the local community, the local schools, the local clubs. Ipswich is a big pull-in for lads and for families that support the club. And as an aside, I had a work colleague whose son's 14 and went for a trial he said he went for like a development squad trial last Friday. He was a goalkeeper. He's from North London. And he was only, his son played a load of games on a Friday. He said, brilliantly run, great people, what a club. We can only control the controllables, and we seem to be doing that as a club. We seem to be, there's a real kind of tight-knit element in there, and I think that is really important. And I think it really helps that McKenna knows the academy system inside out. We've finally got a manager. No disrespect to the old boys, but we've finally got a manager that can connect with young talent and young players. And to be honest, I think that's a massive thing as well. So I just think, as Matt alluded to, it's about, the vast majority of the lads in our academy won't even have a professional football career, unfortunately. There'll be a small percentage that go on to be pros, and then probably a smaller percentage that play for us. But you round them as individuals, you round them as people, you give them the best opportunity you can. And if you can bring through a few diamonds, that's what we've always done. And that's what we have to continue to do. So, it's a really, really positive light, really. I'm definitely going to keep an eye on the kind of under 18s, under 21s a bit more.
Definitely. One thing I think the club are now trying to improve on is trying to kick out the Norwich sort of development schemes, because they were coming into, I think there was one in Kesgrave where I live, and I was like, it should be Ipswich Town, but because of the, we didn't really, the community, the foundation under Marcus Evans, it just wasn't there. And I think Norwich just went, okay, let's have a little look. Even Cambridge and just other, local clubs are just coming in, but thankfully it's all set up nicely now.
So my daughter goes to school in mid Suffolk where I live, and I was horrified last year when in a little bag there was a Norwich City development camp thing, and I'm like, what? This is the Gipping Valley. This is God's own county. What? But she didn't go. Well, one of the lads in her class has signed for Norwich under 10s or something. So
sort it out, town. Get him out. But I think everything is rosy with the academy, and sadly, the sad fact is, Dan, there's out of that team who played Wednesday night, who will actually break through to the first team. But there's a few who have made a few appearances. Jack Manley, you mentioned, he has made 1 or 2 appearances in the first team, but for the pizza trophy.
Yeah.
But they've been around the first team, and I think a lot of them do at some stage. They do jump into the training with the first team. So I think McKenna, as you said, he's got that background at Tottenham, at Man United, and I'm sure he's always wanting to bring in some young players just in training, just to give them that experience. And one thing we need to do better is, of course, sending players out on loan at a good loan club, not just going somewhere and not playing. But as you said, we've got a few good players out on loan at the moment at some good clubs and now getting minutes, which is a good thing. Well, boys, let's get into the first team then. And we're off the back of a 4-0 win against Forest Green Rovers. We're not getting carried away because it is bottom of the league, Forest Green Rovers. Duncan Ferguson has got a job on his hands there. They are probably going to Tier 4 League 2, Forest Green, but fair play for him to be in League 1. But Dan, thoughts on that win and just can Town back up? And that is the big thing. They've got to back it up and go on a run, haven't they?
I mean, thought we had to win on Saturday. Yeah. I dread to think the reaction if we hadn't have won. So you can argue that Forest Green weren't particularly good and we were probably third or fourth gear at best. But mentally, we delivered. And that's all we can ask for after Bristol Rovers and a few other results. So I think anyone at the game could probably see the structure and bones of a potential starting 11 going forward if people are fit. And it will be interesting to see how we take that into MK Dons, because we do, to have any chance of automatics, I think we do now need to go on a bit of a winning run. And we've got the games, I think, that we can do it. But, you know, this is Ipswich. It's about this stage of the season. It's about all in the head, as far as I'm concerned. I don't think, you know, it's about cohesion. It's about team spirit. It's about mentality. We've certainly got the players. We have got the squad. It's whether we can approach it right every game. And I'd be interested to hear what, you know, Matt thinks. I think there were elements of Saturday where, I mean, we could have won. We could have easily won 6 or 7. I thought their goalie had a good game. Probably. I mean, I thought a little cameo at the end from Luongo, for me, in the context of the games ahead and the injury situation that we have, touchwood, could prove to be a very influential player going forward. So, you know, we were on a bit of a, you know, we couldn't really win that. We had to do it. We did do it. And it's all about how we approach Saturday now.
Yeah, definitely. Bono, yeah, it wasn't, you know, I think they did well. They played well. Some players were able to step up. I think there was a day where Broadhead really came to his own. You know, Connor Chapman, a few more goals for him. But yeah, Massimo Luongo, if he can get really fill up the speed, he's going to be a fantastic sort. We knew he was a good addition anyway for experience, but for me, that little cameo, I thought, oh, we've got a player here. But yeah, your thoughts on that and just the weeks ahead, because there is some winnable ties, but you know we got to go on a run, haven't we?
Definitely, we'll come on to those forthcoming fixtures very, very soon. But yeah, Saturday. I mean, I admire Forest Green. Their whole ethos, a lot of it is in line with my own personal stuff, but hey, who cares about what I think about things? Like Dan said, it was a must-win game not in terms of getting promoted or like upwards elevation. There's a nice little U2 quote for you, but in terms of, you know, just stopping the rut. You know, you look at our form table. The last 10, we're 12th in the league in terms of form. We haven't won that many, but we also haven't lost that many. And we're still top goal scorers in the league, unbelievably. You know, we look at Plymouth and Sheffield Wednesday and we admire them because they're free scoring and they score worldies and stuff like that. Well, last few games, we've started to come into that ourselves, scoring some absolute bangers. And yeah, Saturday, 3 minutes on the clock, Chaplin, boom. I predicted 6-1. I think like Dan said, we could have scored an absolute hatful, but I thought it was a really good, cohesive, professional performance on Saturday. Credit to Big Dunk, because he brought his Forest Green team, and they are bottom of the pile. They haven't won in 10 games, 11 games, I think it is, but they actually came and tried to play football. Of course, there's more than one way to skin a cat, and people can be quite snobby about defensive football and parking the bus and deep defending, low press, all that kind of thing. But they actually came and tried to have a go. I was quite, you know, pink kit aside, they were actually quite nice to watch. But our patterns of play are really, really interesting. The way that our formation changes, it's like it's like a smorgasbord. It's like a movable feast. You know, 1 minute you look, there's definitely 3 centre backs, and then the next minute you look, it's a 4-2-3-1, and the way that those 2 number 10s are getting forward and supporting the lone striker, who I think at the start of the season was a little bit isolated. Now that those 2 number 10s, they're kind of advancing a little bit more and finding space. And you know, you look at Wes Burns. Yeah, he's not firing on all cylinders like he did last season, and you know, there might be a reason for that. We don't know, but the fact that he is so well marked and being marked out of quite a lot of games, that's creating space for a lot of people. So all the noise that I see and hear regarding 4-4-2, 2 men up front, it's just football ain't like that anymore. And you know, the way that, you know, we have such a dynamic, I've used the word dynamic about 16 times now. We have such a forward thinking, like managers like Kieran McKenna are the future. He's intelligent, and football is more than just 90 minutes on the pitch with 22 blokes, isn't it? Saturday was good. Saturday was really, really good. And yes, they were bottom, but you still got to beat these teams. And League One, there are freak results. There's freak results at every single level of football. And the games that you go into thinking we're going to batter them, we've been guilty with it, haven't we, in the last month? Cambridge United, Bristol Rovers. Oh, we're going to beat them just because we're above the league. We're going to beat them. And then, yeah, we've been off. Our best players haven't been at their best. The players that we may have been slightly reliant on, who knows? Yeah. But yeah, Saturday was really, really good. It gives us confidence. You know, it's still lots and lots of football to play. So yeah, let's keep the faith.
Oh, absolutely. And couple of things, just thinking back, how crazy would it have been if we would have scored, and we nearly scored in the 78th, 81st, and 90 minutes?
Yeah.
You scored one, hit the post and inches wide. Can you just imagine on the trip to Bobby Robson's 90th birthday, we could have easily scored 3 goals, which blows my mind when I think about that. And also interesting, I don't know, Duncan Ferguson was dressed like he was. Is he like a stag do in Blackpool, or is he going to his niece's christening? I would never say that to his face, obviously, but I like Duncan Ferguson. Something about him, I do like him, and I hope he has a good managerial career. But they got taught a bit of a lesson, didn't they?
Yeah, I think that's an opportunity for him to get his first management job, and I'm sure he probably knew going into that job it was going to be a hard task, but he thought, let's go for it. A nice part of the world as well. Good run club as well. That's what you want as well as a manager. You want a good run club, and they seem like a really good run club. But yeah, they've lost Connor Wickham and other players. But best of luck to them for the rest of the season. But any other business before we get into the strike? Of course, we're going to be looking ahead to MK and the fixtures ahead, talking about the best starting 11. But anything else you want to mention?
Luongo. I forgot to mention Luongo. Yeah. What a player! Let's get him fit and let's put him in the middle alongside Morsey. Let's not try to be too romantic about Cameron Humphreys. He's already played a lot more football than probably he and anybody else was expecting, what with the injuries to Evans, Ball, Camara, etc., etc. But he just looked great. The cut, the thrust, the aggression. He is the sort of bloke that's going to leave everything on the pitch, and that's what we need, and that's what us as fans and supporters. That's what we want. All we want is effort. Passion is great, but passion doesn't always win you games. It just gets you booked and that kind of thing. But yeah, it's the kind of controlled aggression, and I think he'll also bring out the best in Morsey as well. Because I think Sam's had a lot of criticism, but let's not forget I think he's being asked to do a role that perhaps isn't his natural forte. Let's say, but yeah, I'd be chuffed to bits if he starts at Milton Keynes on Saturday. So, yeah.
We shall see. Well then, boys, let's get into the strike then. Have a little breather before we get into the big, I was about to say big game this weekend, but well, it's another must-win game, pretty much. 4 questions plus a tiebreaker as standard. Play at home, get involved. Let us know how you get on. But Dan versus Bono, head-to-head, who's going to be king of the strike? this week. So as always, it links up to birthdays and the game ahead. And first up, question 1 is on Darren Ambrose, who's going to be celebrating his birthday, but he's part of the leap year birthdays. He was born the 29th of February. Don't think we've got a leap year this year, have we? So I think there's a few players like that. I think that's Darren Ambrose. I think Richard Naylor was born on 29th of February as well, and then there's another player. But yeah, Darren Ambrose made one sub-appearance for Town in the Premier League against Arsenal. But who did he replace? Was it Martin Royster, Vinny George, or Tommy Miller? So yeah, Darren Ambrose, one Premier League appearance for Town as a substitute, and yeah, it was against Arsenal. 2-0 defeat, unfortunately. Freddie Lomberg scored both of those goals at Highbury. Yeah, Darren Ambrose making his debut. Royster, George, or Miller?
I met Darren Ambrose on the Jubilee line a couple of months ago. What a lovely man! He was on his way back from the TalkSport studios. So he got on at London Bridge. I got on at my stop, and I accosted him. Very, very nice man.
Fair play. Have you got the answer though?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if it's the right answer.
George. Well, the correct answer is Martin Royster. The correct answer for Dan. That's fine. It's an interesting one. I tried to the other players, maybe put a striker, maybe put a midfielder and see. But it is Martin Royster he replaced. Question 2 is on good old Mickey Stockwell, who celebrates his birthday this month. Now, do you know his middle name, boys? Mickey Stockwell or Michael Stockwell, but a lot of people call Mick or Mickey. But yeah, what's his middle name? Daniel, Lee, or Thomas? So Michael, Daniel, Stockwell, Michael Lee.
I think he was there last night.
Yeah, he was actually. Yeah, in director's box. Yeah.
I'm not going mad. I did spot someone who looked like him.
Yeah.
Well, I have no idea, but obviously I'm going to go for me. Okay. So I'll go in early with Daniel.
Okay, Thomas. Correct answer is Thomas. So Bono gets
Come on!
Yeah.
Come on,
1-1. Going into question 3, and it's on Jason Scotland, the Trinidad and Tobago striker. How many goals did he score for Town in 97 games? I've probably done this question multiple times on the strike, but I'm lazy and I just went, let's just do that as a simple answer for Jason Scotland. But yeah, how many goals?
Was he Keane or Jewell? He was kind of Keane.
Yeah, Keane signed him, and then of course, Keane, of course, got sacked. Obviously, I think during that season he signed from Wigan, and yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I've got to go.
97 games. I think there was a lot of substitution appearances. I think at least 30. I think out of the 97 games, I think he came off the bench 30 times or something like that. So, just like the current situation now with Freddie Ladapo and George Hirsch, they're swapping. Yeah. Anyway, 97 games. Of course, closest gets to the point. If you get it bang on, boys, 2 points. So who will go in front? There you go. Carry on. 19, 18. Ooh.
Oh!
Well, no one's got it bang on, but Bono is correct, or is closest. It's 21 goals.
Oh, and look what I scrubbed out.
20. Oh no, you got, mate. Honestly, you always got to stick to your correct original answer, because you just never know. It may bite you in the butt, and it has there.
Never change your mind. Never change your mind. Go where you go.
Yes. Final question. Bono, of course, 2-1 in front. Who scored Town's first goal in Town's 3-0 win over MK Dons at the start of the season? Was it Connor Chaplin, Marcus Harness, or Wes Burns? Of course, they all scored in this game. So who scored first? Was it Wes Burns, Connor Chaplin, or Marcus Harness? Bono's confident.
I'm not. I'm just guessing.
Okay, that's fine. It was a long time ago. Of course, a lot has changed at MK since then. Of course, Liam Manning's not in charge.
I'm under pressure. See, I would know who won the 1988 FA Cup final, but I wouldn't know who scored this season. I'm at that age.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a punt. I'm taking a punt. I need this, don't I? This is like an time equaliser for me if this goes in.
Yeah. Well, we'll start with Bono first. Let's see what he's got. Let's see.
Marcus Harness.
Well,
okay.
I've got a chance of winning.
Oh! It's Wes Burns.
Oh!
You both got it wrong. Oh, he's off. He's off. Dan's off. He's off. Oh, he's like, oh. Oh, when you said harness, I thought, oh my god, Dan's gonna do it. He's gonna score that late equaliser. And then when I saw Chapman, I thought, no.
Did they all
where's
score?
Burns?
Did they all score?
Yeah, they all scored. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's Burns in the 4th minute? Scored the goal, and then I think.
Well played, Bono.
But
well.
As always, we do have a tiebreaker. Here's Bono. Will he gamble?
I'm going to gamble. I'm just going to.
It's a gentleman handshake before we start the podcast every time. Just like we're doing it, tiebreaker. Even if
has anybody not gambled? I think somebody has not gambled before, and it's like, oh come on, dude.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a joke, but yeah.
If you've won 2-1 and there's been 4 questions, why would you gamble?
Because that's what we do.
Right. Okay. See, I'm not.
But Dan, of course, you've got to get it bang on to win, so that's why the gamble sort of work out.
Right. Well, thanks a lot, Bono, for giving me the chance. I really am under pressure.
You are, Dan. Let's not forget, buddy. You've written books about Ipswich, so your brain is so much more full of like town stuff than me.
It's full of stuff that no one needs to know. You are the shirt number king. This is all about the question. Ross, I blame you if this is a shirt number question.
That isn't, to be fair. There was one moment when I was doing the strike questions. I think, I'm going to do a squad number. But when I knew you were going to come on the pod, I thought, I won't do that to Dan. So I decided not to do that. It's fine. But Caden Jackson. So it's a modern player, current player, of course. He had his birthday, I think, yesterday. So Wednesday. But how many goals has he scored for Town in 156 games so far?
He ain't played 156 games, is he really?
He has been here. He has, yeah. He's been here since 2018.
Thing is, I can't check it because then I'd be cheating. But that's amazing. That's amazing. 156 games.
Yeah.
Wow.
156 games. Of course, made his debut back in August 2018 against Rotherham.
He's the last. He's the last Paul Hurst, isn't he?
Janoy.
Yeah.
Janoy.
Oh yeah.
Course,
Good old Janoy.
Yeah. But hundreds.
He must have played a lot of some on the right wing, some a sub.
Or he's made 87 starts and 69 sub of 2 appearances. So he's had to come off the bench a lot. Yeah.
All right, this is a complete guess.
It's fine. Let's see if you can get it bang on. Let's see if anybody can get it bang on.
Do I have to get it bang on to win? Yeah.
Get it bang on to win, yeah.
Oh, fuck it. Oops, sorry.
It's like 30. Okay. Ooh. Is that 26? Well, someone's got it bang on.
No way.
But it's Bono. It is 26. It is 26 goals.
That is knowledge.
What's the thinking behind that? Is it just you just doing the goal ratio, or you've seen it about recently?
No, it's just a guess.
Yeah.
I actually put down 20, but then I added the little stick on the 0 to make it 26. Oh. No, because he's never been prolific. I remember him and Norwood were fantastic together, weren't they? For about 9 or 10 games, it was like bloody hell. These guys are awesome. On number 9 and number 10, they were great. But yeah, it's just a guess. There's no science. There's no intelligence. I'm just a man, just an innocent man. Yeah, I watched that last night. Actually, hilarious. I guess I should say my thank yous, shouldn't I? I'd like to thank. Let me just look it up. I'd like to thank Kevin Mincher. You what?
Wikipedia.
I'd like to thank Kevin Mincher and his yellow shoes. Yellow shoes are so in colour psychology, yellow is the colour of confidence. So come on, you Blues. There we go. Message ends.
What's happened to Kevin Mincher and his yellow shoes?
He's still around. He's still around. I think maybe he doesn't wear them much now.
Would you like a little peek behind the curtain?
Go ahead.
I met Kevin Mincher after I recorded the Naked Football Show in the summer. I left the studios in Ipswich and I was walking up to meet my family in the town centre, and he was there with Jason Schechterly, who was over from America, and I accosted him near Hullabaloo, the lovely vegan cafe, and I said, Kevin, hi, I'm Matt. It's lovely to meet you. And I was just like, yeah, I had a little chat, and he was just looking at me, thinking, who the hell are you? Like most people do when I accost them. And yeah, he was a very nice man, not as tall as you'd think, but yeah, I'm happy to confirm, actually, he was wearing yellow shoes.
Oh, look at that.
So,
for people who don't know Bono, just in case people think, who the hell is this Kevin Geezer? He's the psychologist, anything for the football club?
he is a man of many facets, I have to say. So I looked him up. He runs like psychology boot camps. He's worked under Neil Warnock at Sheffield. He's a Yorkshireman. He speaks like that, which is, I know, a great Norwegian accent. Yeah, he works in education. So yeah, he's actually a really cool guy. I got a nice vibe off him, because you don't always get that with people you meet. They say never meet your heroes. I mean, yeah, he's not a hero of mine personally, but he's a ruddy nice bloke. I wanted Alan Partridge there. Sorry. Yeah, but no, thanks. It's Kevin. This is down to you, and I'm hoping he can work his magic with the boys, particularly Wes Burns.
Definitely. As you mentioned heroes, Bono, I want to quickly plug, of course, my recent In Pictures episode with George Burley. And peep behind the curtain there, you were there to assist me, to press the button and just make sure I was behaving myself. But yeah, a really good chat with George. Of course, discussing his playing career, and of course his management career at Town, and just such a nice man, George Burley is. And if you haven't watched it yet, go back on our channels and watch it. Many other great episodes to come. But yeah, Bono, to be in that room, that's just great to have you involved. But yeah, your thoughts on it?
Well, yeah, no, thanks. Thank you, Ross, for having me along to help. It's my first assistant producer credit in my fledgling media career. And yeah, just it's not often that you're in the presence of greatness for that long. And to be with George and yourself in Punch Studios at the Smokehouse, and yeah, just to be with him and just to have some time with him, just talking and off camera. He was just so lovely, so gracious. A hero of mine growing up in that era. And some of his stories, just absolutely, particularly a lot of the Bobby Robson era, coming down from Scotland as a 15-year-old. And he's still got that Scottish accent. I grew up with some Scottish kids, and yeah, it's like you can take the boy out of Ayrshire, but you can't take Ayrshire out of the boy, can you? But yeah, what a lovely guy. And if you haven't watched it yet, kids, give it a watch, like and subscribe, and comment below.
Indeed. And I feel bad in a way because he had to pay for parking, and yeah, and the machine was having a bit of a mare. So, but he finally got the parking, and yeah.
Do you know the best bit about it? When we were saying goodbye to George and he left the studio, did you see the bloke in the car park in an Ipswich shirt and an Ipswich hat, just like looking like that's George Burley? Just like leaving, getting in his car and driving off, and we were like, yeah, George Burley, a legend.
Crashed into a pole while looking out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, that was a really good chat, and yeah, got some great episodes coming up, so look out for them, and yeah, let me know any players in particular you'd like me to speak to. I'll try my best.
Are you doing Simon Milton next?
Yeah, that is hopefully the one. I don't want to jinx it just in case something happens, but yeah, that's an episode in the pipeline, so look out for that. I also saw good old Alex Maffey. Why do I keep saying Matty? I said that on the video to him, and then we had to like redo the tape. But Alex Maffey, I went up to Leeds and spoke to him, and as of course the anniversary of his hat trick against Norwich 25 years ago. But yeah, a really good episode of him. So that'll be out in a few months' time. To look out for that. Well, Bono, Dan, let's look ahead then to the next 14 games, and I want your best starting 11. Players are coming back from injury. We've got a few players out injured, of course. Taurus John Jules. I saw him do a post on Instagram of being back at the gym at the training ground, so he could be a player that could be part of the run-in in the future. Most probably like next few weeks, maybe next month at some stage. But let's start though with goalie. This probably isn't a hard question, but Christian Walton, Dan, are you keeping him in?
Yep.
Bono? Oh. All right.
There's no doubting our own kind of Yashin's ability and application. I just think Vaclav Halanki, as you call him, Ross, he's so much better suited to our style of football. He's so good with the ball at his feet, and our goalies don't have to do much. We don't have that many shots against us, but Walton does tip it for me. He does tip it, but what a great problem to have. Two very, very good goalies, two very, very different goalies. I think it's just such a shame for Vaz, really. Hopefully he's settled in the area and he's happy and he's learning. But yeah, Walton for me. Walton just. But, I would like to see more of Vaz because in the Burnley games he was decent. And like I said, he's great with the ball at his feet. He's a modern goalkeeper.
He's quick, distribution as well. Like Walton sometimes can be a bit slow, but he's great shot stopper, of course.
Let's talk about that very, very quickly.
Okay. Walton
is only slow distributing the ball when there's no outlet, and I hear and see a lot of people moan like, "Get rid of it." Okay, so we get rid of it and we just give the ball back. It's all about possession. It's all about keeping the ball and building it up and just finding. It's like those two number 10s. They're like Raumdeuters, aren't they? Which, if you're not familiar with that phrase, it's like a room finder. It's what Thomas Muller was in the Germany World Cup teams. They just buzz around, just trying to find a little bit of space. And Morsey as well at the weekend, didn't he? I'm going off at a tangent, typical Bono. Right. It's like we're only slow distributing the ball, just like we are from throw-ins if there's no one available. And sometimes we are a little bit statuesque, aren't we? And not in a good way. Sometimes there is nobody available for the person to pass it to. And I think that's something that needs to be addressed. But anyway, we're both agreed on Walton. Let's move on to the defence.
Yes, back four then, boys. Right back, centre back, left back. Take it away, Dan. Wash your four. As you said, in the Youth Cup, you had George Emerson, Luke Wolford and Karen Burgess together. Like, back three maybe, pending, but no, back four.
Well, yeah, the way I look at I kind of class it as three centre backs. The way I look at it, we play with, and then two wing back, full backs. So, I think for me, when I look at the defence, it's been a bit of a issue, isn't it? Particularly recently, I've been chopping and changing it a bit and trying different formation, different personnel in there, and maybe a bit too much tinkering. I think right now, as it stands, I think two of my players are nailed on, and the big decision is the third of those three. I would start with Wolfenden and Burgess. I think, this is if everyone is fit. I like Edmondson a lot. I think he brings a lot, but I would probably go with Burgess and Wolfenden. And then the way we play, spreading the ball, as Matt was saying, and getting a bit of width and working out the angles. I have a big conundrum between Harry Clark and Janai Danassian. I think Danassian has come on leaps and bounds. I think he's had a really kind of good season. Some of his performances start to slip a little bit. He looks shaky, particularly at home. I can't remember who it was against. And Clark's come in and never really seen Harry Clark before we bought him, and there's a lot of fanfare about him. I think Danassian has got a better relationship with Burns. I think that's kind of key. But I will go with, when these games are getting physical and you need a bit of a warrior mentality at times, I'm going to plump with probably Clark. So I'm going to go with Clark on the right, Burgess, Wolfenden and Clark. Clark, the kind of right centre back. Very harsh on Danassian, but that's what I'll go with.
Okay, same thing as Bono. That is that question mark. Burgess, Emerson.
Yeah, one tweak. I think Danassian's good, but Harry Clark is better. He's got better attributes. I think, lending himself to the way that we play. Wolfenden in the centre. I love Wolfie. He does need to kick up the arse sometimes. You know, there's chilled out, and then there's kind of lackadaisical. And I think every game at the moment, you're just waiting for him to just keep it, like, take his eye off the ball very, very quickly. And I'd swap Burgess for Edmondson, but it's a nice problem to have, isn't it? Edmondson, yeah, I think his distribution is a bit better. But saying that, Burgess is getting better at it. So yeah, what a nice problem to have. And then of course you've got good old Richard Keogh, the warrior. You know,
little fun fact, or not really fun fact. Wednesday night he was there as well, Richard Keogh, and he was sort of sitting with the coaching staff. So I have a feeling that he's most likely where everyone knows that's probably where he's going to be heading into anyway, coaching. But for him to be sitting there with all the coaches, it just sort of proves that he is part of that sort of setup there. Well, let's go into maybe some of the obvious positions. Leif Davis, he's starting for you guys, or you bring Greg Lee in? No, Greg, yeah. So yeah, Davis.
Lee, a very capable backup, but Davis all day long.
Yeah. Then midfield, Sam Morsy is starter, and then Luongo or Humphreys. You know.
Well, yeah. Shall I just chip in for?
Yeah.
I'm Morsy every week. He's our most important player. He's our best player, in my opinion. He has carried his team a lot. I know there was a bit of nonsense about post Bristol Rovers, but in the grand scheme of things, he's played all the games recently. And if the thing is, if I look at it, two centre mids, right, I'll go Morsy all day long. If Evans was fully fit, which he isn't, I would go with. I would probably start with Evans, because I think him and Morsy have a little bit of balance. You know, you've got that kind of balance with him, but he's not fit. So at the moment, assuming Evans might not be back to like the last few games, I would probably start with Luongo. Only because I think Humphreys is a really good player. I think that he's going to be a really good player. It's really, really good player. But I just think at the moment, when I saw Luongo, when we signed him, I thought, great player. And I wasn't sure that he'll be fit. And he's taken a bit of time to get fit. And I just think, would you want to play against Morsy and Luongo in midfield? I mean, they can kick you. They can outpass you. They can verbal you. They are a tough, nuggety midfield pair with experience, but they can both play. And I think on that basis, certainly away from home, but I'd start Luongo with Morsy in the middle, and then have, and then you've got Humphreys is a brilliant player on the bench, like he did when I think he came on at Lincoln and scored that goal running into the box. And also, it seems to me, by the sounds of it, that Kamara and Ball are getting back nearish to fitness.
On the grass,
whatever that means. Smoking away in their bedrooms. No, they're back on the grass. So, but yeah, it's. I think Don Ball has been a massive miss.
Yeah.
A massive, massive miss. I think he just offers a lot, and I think who knows with Kamara, but he's obviously got a bit of pedigree, and so you really need bodies in that middle of the pitch, because you're going to get and yeah. So I would definitely go Morsy Luongo, and let's face it, we are going to be without Morsy soon. Morsy will be suspended. He's back, but it's like Morsy and Luongo to start at Milton Keynes Dons. Ipswich to go 2-0 up. Ideally, Morsy to get booked. We win the game, and then Morsy can get his suspension out of the way before March.
Yes,
but beggars can't be choosers. But I'm going to go Morsy Luongo on the basis that they are I would not want to play against Morsy and Luongo. I think they really suit each other, and I reckon they're just horrible blokes to play against. And I like that. All the best teams have got that. And Morsy's not the enforcer all the time now. He's quite like his mate in crime next. But the thing is, they can both play. It's not like they're not destroyers. They're both players. So
I think they wear similar boots, don't they? I think they wear similar boots as well.
They look quite similar. They look quite similar. They've got similar stature. They just growl at people and then get stuck in. And then, but more, as I say, they're not. They both can play.
Yeah. So, Bono, same feelings there on the midfield, and then maybe go into the 10s as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I was over the moon when Massi Luongo signed for us. I remember him when he was back in the day when he was on loan as a kid. It was his first ever time in men's football, and what a player! He's a championship level player, just like Morsey is. And hopefully he's over any hurdles that he's had with his fitness. And from the 2 cameos, I mean, isn't it ridiculous? I'm getting excited about a player that's played less than kind of 50 or 60 minutes worth of football in the last few months, but he's just looked brilliant. And like you alluded to, Dan, he juxtaposes Morsey so well, doesn't he? Is it harsh on Cameron Humphreys? Yes, it is. But I think at the end of the day, Luongo is a better player that's potentially suited to that centre midfield spot a little bit more. I think Cam Humphreys could develop into quite a nice attacking midfielder once he beefs out a little bit and gets a little bit more kind of professional nous and like game management and stuff like that. But yeah, let's have the destroyers and destroy Milton Keynes. I'm not going to call them by what their name is, because that shouldn't be their name. So they're Milton Keynes Football Club, and I hope they destroy them. Like you said, Dan, Morsey, get that booking, son. Even if it's just a shirt pull or kicking the ball away, don't do anything too rash. Let's get that booking out the way, get that suspension done, and back for the important games in a month's time. But every game's important, obviously. Yeah. So, yeah.
And let's move into the Thames, and we'll mention Wes Burns and Kane Jackson in a minute, because that's a position I think will be good for debate. But I think we all know that Connor Chaplin should start. I think that's the obvious one there. But yeah, Kane Jackson, Wes Burns, Dan, who's starting in that role?
Good question. That is, I would strongest team for the last 14 games of the season. I'm going to stay with Burns. I think he's undoubtedly a very, very good player. He's not hit the heights of last season, but let's not write him off. And he can be a really big player for us. There were some good signs against Fleetwood. And to be honest, I think Caden Jackson has found his right position finally, which is the right midfield. I think if it is level with half an hour ago, his pace could be an asset, and that's how we should use Jackson. I mean, interestingly, we started with Jackson at Milton Keynes last season, and he did a lot of work on that big pitch, and he caused them a few problems, if I remember quite rightly. So it'd be interesting to see what McKenna does for Saturday. But I'm going to have Davis on the left, and I'm going to have Burns on the right in our strongest team. And then Chaplin and Broadhead, who's just, I think, looks an outstanding player. Could have the impact that Marcus Stewart had on that season. That kind of different class finisher, game changer, real good. And him and Chaplin, I just think we have to start them now every game.
Yeah, that's actually true. Broadhead, you've got to start him as well, because you spent a few million on him, or over $1 million, so he's got to start, Bono. And let's not beat around the bush. Striker, Adapo, Hurst, what are you doing?
But Bono? Wolfie at the back, Ladapo in attack. Town are going to do quite well in the league. Yeah, it's got to be my boy, Big Fred. You know, I will never forget that moment when I saw him in Tesco's and I accosted him in the baking aisle. What a guy. What a guy. Do you remember the video of Jimmy Bullard when Wigan played Everton and Big Dunk, you know, just to kind of go full circle, when Big Dunk was going mad and like Bullard just like looked at him like, what? That's how Big Fred looked at me when I was telling him that I was going to name a song after him for my instrumental side project.
Just off Matt's camera on his other wall are full of Freddie Ladapo posters.
Yeah, that's Mark Beck. Actually, that's Mark Beck, because he's.
I love the fact that you regularly accost Ipswich connected characters on a daily basis. This afternoon, I'm accosting Kieran McKenna in B&Q.
I just think it's about reading the room, isn't it? And if people are out with their family, then yeah, maybe not. But if they're just there going about their day, you know, you never go full fanboy, do you? But it's just nice to say hello. Really appreciate what you do. Come on, you Blues type thing. It's never any. And I just think if I was in their shoes, you know, would I want? You know, you can always tell when people want to be left alone. But you know, Fred and I, we had a bit of a chat. There's a little bit extra to the story, which I won't talk about during a recorded session, but in person I would tell you about it because it was really, really funny at the time. But yeah, we had a selfie in front of the Rivita. Oh, such a story for the grandkids.
Lyric.
He was. I'll tell you what, Ladapo, what a man! He was such a cool dude. So yeah.
I think right now we just got to stick to one person up front, haven't we, Dan? I think just stick to one. Like Zappo for me, I think for a lot of people, he's starting because he's a starter.
I like George Hurst. I think George Hurst has got something about him, and I like his attitude. And he could have scored a beautiful goal against Forest Green with that. But I think Freddie. I think Freddie up top, and I really want to see. I just love the way, you know, when he's playing well is when we play those balls into him and they stick, and he uses his strength. And then Chaplin and Broadhead running off him, and he obviously came on, scored the goal, could have got 2 on Saturday. So I think Freddie. But we've got again, you know, like you say, we got Hurst now. We've got people like John Jones coming back. We got a quality bench as well. So
yeah, I'm sure that bench is going to just rotate all the time. You know, Shawnee Aluko was on the bench on Saturday against Forest Green, but he'll be, you know, a player to bring on the bench. Marcus Harness and all those different options to have. So there we go. Well, we're over an hour on this podcast, so we'll sort of wrap up now. But we'll talk about MK this weekend. 7,000, just under 7,000 Town fans again in that away end. It's going to be a great atmosphere. Last time it was a goalless draw. Of course, Liam Manning was in charge. It was Liam Manning versus Kieran McKenna, but now MK a very different side. They still play some good football, but they are not doing very well. Mark Jackson is the new manager. They've lost the last 2 games by 5 goals. So there's a chance for us maybe to score. But thoughts on this one, lads? Predictions? Bono, Dan, take it away. Yeah, MK are a very different team. I think they are fighting relegation. They are going to be down there. But they've still got some decent players.
Yeah, I know Matt has quite rightly as a view on them, and I think that's great. I will be going. I've decided this year round that I'm looking forward to getting a train finally to a football game and can have a few beers in Bletchley and walk up to the ground. I'm not going to give them a penny. I'm not going to spend any time in that retail park. I'm going to get in there, support the boys, and just get out and come back home. As for the game, I don't think it's going to be a classic. They are Milton Keynes are the worst team at home in the league. They've won twice at home all season in the league. Their last 5 games at home have had less than 2 goals. And on the basis that it's a pretty bad surface, and I think I just think I can see it. I know it's not very exciting, but it doesn't matter. I can see us grinding out a 1-0 win. I can see Freddie scoring the winner. I don't think it's going to be a classic. I think it's all going to be about mentality again. They're fighting for their lives. They're into isolation. They've not got some bad players. They've got Jonathan Lecco and Issa up front, who on their day are not bad. They've got Sully Kaikai, who we're after. They've got Bradley Johnson and McKesson in midfield. That I'm looking forward to Bradley Johnson getting one put on him by either Morsey or Luongo. I cannot stand Bradley Johnson as a player, and that's not just his Norwich connection. So, but they're struggling, and really, I just take the win. I don't think it's going to be a classic, and ideally, we score in front. You know, it's on the telly afterwards where you see 7,000 fans going mental. If we can suck that ball into the net, you know, when you see an away and properly celebrating, I want that to happen. But
hopefully it will happen, yeah. Because last time it was a goalless draw, and it was like, if we just scored that away, it would have been amazing.
They were terrible against us at our place.
They were.
And I always thought Liam Manning was a pretty good coach prospect, and They haven't, we have got to win on Saturday. We've got to win.
Bono, your thoughts, your prediction for the game? As Dan said, the pitch, the surface, it doesn't look great. It is a big pitch, but yeah, from what the Lionesses manager, England Lionesses manager said, it doesn't look good, the surface.
No, and I think sadly that kind of thing can really hinder us with our brand of McKenna ball that we have. But yeah, I'll just take the win. It's, I'm always very wary now, particularly like our form of late since that 4-4 against Charlton. You look at our form and you look at other teams' forms, and yeah, like Dan alluded to, they don't really score goals. They've lost against Exeter and Shrewsbury at home, like their last couple of league games, and yeah, it's kind of got a 1-0 Ipswich win written all over it, really, hasn't it? But we'll take the win. Let's get some more minutes into the new players' legs. Yeah, you'd like to see Lawanga and Morsey smashing Matey Boy, formerly of them lot up the road, bless them. So yeah, and who knows? We looking at the other fixtures, we can close that gap. And there's still loads of football left to play, guys. Loads of, the way some people going on, it's like we've only got 4 games left. It's February. Nothing's decided in February, not even in the Premier League. So, yeah.
Faith.
Yes, indeed. Bring it on. If you're going to the game, enjoy it. As I said, there's just under 7,000 Town fans, which is just incredible. It's going to be a sea of blue in that away end. But that is it for another fan social. Hope you've enjoyed. Dan, Bono, any other business? Dan, anything else you want to mention? Anything you want to plug? Or
I've said enough. Thank you, and I hope people have enjoyed listening or watching it.
Definitely, my friend. And Bono, over to you. Any other business? And
No, just thanks for having me, Ross, and I can't wait to see everybody again whenever I'm next at a football match.
Top man. As ever, I'm going to do my shambolic outro. As always, of course, we've got proud sponsors. Manscaped, use the code KOA to get 20% off and free delivery at checkout. And also Ginger Pickle, the goats of marketing, SEO, Google Ads. If you want to improve your Google Ads, go with Ginger Pickle. And big shout out to Tony Southgate, who actually drove me up to Leeds to meet with good old Alex Maffey. So big shout out to him for helping out there. As I said, if you're going to the game, enjoy it. If you're not, follow the game with us. Of course, subscribe. Follow us on all the socials. Kings of Anglia. Follow Dan. Follow Bono. As you can see, if you're watching on video, you can see their handles on Twitter. So go and follow them. But yeah, bye-bye for now. Enjoy. Bye-bye.